Well, good morning, everyone. It's Stephen Whiteside here from theuptrend.com with your morning market outlook for Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. In the pre-market this morning, once again, stock index futures are currently trading above fair value. That's on the back of falling crude oil prices, down near $90 this morning. And we also have gold pulling back down 60 and change. And so that's probably not going to help the Canadian stock market on Wednesday. Looking at the VIX of the fear index, we're still on a sell signal here, treading water, looking for a close above 1804 on Wednesday would be the first sign that something new could be happening. If we look at the midterm chart and compare that to the S&P 500, if we go back to January, you can see where we broke out above the waterline, and then in early April, we broke down below the waterline. And that corresponds with when the stock market peaked and when it started to rally back up. So we'll be watching that as well as another indication that the mood of the market is changing and the market wants to do more selling than buying. That certainly has not started on Wednesday morning. Now, you were asking about Bitcoin. We haven't really talked about Bitcoin in a while. It traded up to the flypaper channel and got stuck in it, and we haven't started to break down just yet. You can see by the daily panic zone chart that we are projecting down into the middle of June to make a cycle low down in the middle of June. So far, that really hasn't started. We are on a sell signal right now, but not going anywhere. The pros and the public are intertwined, so nobody's in the mood to do any buying or selling at the moment. We're looking to see if we hold 75,000. If we can hold 75,000, that could be the starting point for the next rally. If we start to break down below 75,000, we'll give up on our rally hopes at this time. Now, we did trade up to the 100-day moving average, and that is currently acting as resistance. And of course, we traded into the flypaper channel and got stuck there. Ethereum has traded up into the flypaper channel and then started to pull back. So in both cases, both Bitcoin and Ethereum are in the doghouse at the moment, and the market really doesn't want to play with these right now. That could change. Maybe if semiconductors start to sell off, maybe money will come back into the cryptocurrencies. But right now, coming into Wednesday's trading action, there's no reason to chase these at the moment. Now, moving on to the world of commodities, and it's not a pretty picture here. We do have copper back on a buy signal. Copper miners moved up nicely yesterday. They actually were the best performing sector in the group of sectors that we follow. Now, there's no joy for gold. It's down in the pre-market this morning. Gold stocks were up yesterday across the board, but no new buy signals here. Then looking at the price of silver, silver's on a sell signal right now. Silver miners moved up yesterday, but again, no new buy signals. The price of crude oil has come down over the last couple of days. It looks like it wants to continue to do that on Wednesday morning. Gasoline was down nearly 6% yesterday, so that is good for the consumer. And natural gas is back on a sell signal, so no joy for any of the energy commodities coming into Wednesday's trading action. On the TSX, energy stocks were actually up just 4 cents yesterday, so no change there. While in the U.S., we were down $1.64, so we're back on a sell signal in the U.S. as well. Now, bonds were in the news last week. Bond yields hit multi-year highs, and after the news came out, bonds started to come back and bond yields started to drop. So what's the old saying? Buy the rumor, sell the news. Well, this time around, it's the opposite, is sell the rumor, buy the news. And so we've got bonds back on a buy signal here. If you're going to be involved in the bond market from a trading point of view, you want to use the futures contracts. If you're looking for dividend income, then, the bond market is the place for you. It's just when we look at these charts, you don't want to get too confused. There's the TLT back on a buy signal. Now, the TLT recently traded down to where it opened back in, 2002. So, of course, all through this time period, it's been paying dividends. But, the bond market is totally different than the stock market. The bond market is bigger than the stock market. And people in the bond market have a lot more leverage than people in the stock market do. Now, there's the XBB also back on a buy signal. When we look at the volatility of these bond ETFs, if we look at the volatility of the XBB or the TLT, they're less than 0.5% per day. Compare that to NVIDIA, for example, which is up near 4% per day. So you're looking at a difference of like 8 or 9x more volatility in a stock that is the most actively traded, widely held stock in the world. It's 8 or 9 times the volatility that you get in a bond ETF. So really not thinking about trading something like that, but we do watch it closely because it does have an influence on the stock market. Let's finish off this morning's presentation, taking a look at some of the major index ETFs and some of the stocks that played a part in their movement yesterday. Starting off with the iShares for the TSX 60, we were down 36 cents yesterday. The big loser was Constellation Software and then Thomson Reuters. So no change in trend for Constellation, no change in trend for Thomson Reuters. What worked, the big winner of the day was CP, which was up a tick over 2% on the day. Now, looking at the Vanguard Canada ETF, we were down just 30 cents on the day. The big winner was TerraVest. The big loser was Boyd. Boyd generated a buy signal on Monday. No follow through to the upside on Tuesday. We're still on a buy signal coming into Wednesday's trading action. Looking at the Dow is down 87 cents yesterday. The big winner was Caterpillar, so we're back on a buy signal there. The big loser of the day was Chevron, back on a sell signal. Now, when we look at the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, both were pushed higher by the chip sector. So there's the S&P 500 trading back up to 750. We closed at $750.59, looking to see if we can break away from this level. What worked, again, it was chip stocks. Micron was the big winner, up nearly 20% on the day, followed by On Technology. What didn't work, AutoZone was the big loser of the day. AutoZone has been in or under the flypaper channel for some time now. Of course, stocks trading above the flypaper channel, the market loves those stocks. If they're in the channel, we consider that neutral. And if they're below the channel, we know the market hates those particular stocks at this particular time. And then looking at the NASDAQ was up $12.74, breaking out above the $718.75 level, heading towards 750. Pretty much the same stocks were leading the NASDAQ higher that led the S&P 500 higher. Of course, Micron leading the way. Advanced Micro Devices had a good day. SanDisk had a good day. Intuit was the big loser of the day, down nearly 5%. It's kind of hard to notice on this chart. And again, another stock that's been below the flypaper channel for some time. So when you're evaluating opportunities, none of us have unlimited cash. So we have to be selective about which stocks we follow. And it's always better to follow stocks that are trading above the flypaper channel. There are times in the market where everybody's trading below the flypaper channel, so you have to look to see who's moving first as to help you select which stock to chase. But in a situation like this where the stock market is making all-time highs, it's the stocks trading above the flypaper channel that have unlimited opportunity to the upside, whereas stocks trading below the flypaper channel technically have limited opportunity. They can always break through, of course, but for the most part, they don't do it right away. And so you really want to wait until the stock breaks out above the flypaper channel before you go chasing it. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. So far, it looks like we're going to see some buying at the open once again in the U.S. market. The Canadian market might be a little different with crude oil and gold down in the pre-market this morning. That could certainly put some downward pressure on the TSX. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Thursday morning.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.